Hi there, everyone. My name is Riaz. I am a senior researcher. I work on The Chase. I live in London. So, a researcher does basically anything to do editorially with research, really, what it says on the tin. So, if we're doing auditions and casting, what we do is we go through our application system, which is eTribes, which most TV shows tend to use nowadays. And basically, because we're The Chase, we're lucky enough to have thousands of applications. So we give people a call. We have a look at their applications, give them a call if we feel that they're going to be suitable for the show, and we basically interview them over the phone. Sometimes we do a quiz with them as well, and then if they've been successful, we'll invite them for an audition. And so the auditions are usually quite fun. So you get to meet obviously all different types of people. You play games with them, all that kind of stuff, and then at the end of it, you tend to make a decision on who gets to go through and who doesn't. And then you have the other side, which is the studio side. So with the studio team, what we tend to do is the producers will put a show together. So they'll put a group of contestants together, and then it's our jobs to sort of chase their paperwork, do background checks. So background checks is sort of like going through social media, making sure there's nothing racist or untoward, and anything that's bad. We want to protect our contestants as well as the show, because people's well-beings, mental health, and all that kind of stuff is obviously very important. But then we also do biogs, so we talk to them about what stuff they're going to talk about on the show, just so they're not sort of doing it on the spot. For the studio days, I tend to lead the show. So when I say lead the show, I'm in charge of me and a couple of members of the team, so usually one or two other people. We will brief the contestants when they come in, so it's basically telling them all the ins and outs of the show, making sure they understand what's going to happen, all that kind of stuff, making sure they have a fun time as well, because it's quite an experience being on a TV show. No day is the same, should we say that? Every day is a different day, so get lots of variety in my roles. I never get bored. I've worked on The Wall with Danny Dyer, worked on Five Little Rings with Schofield, lots of quiz shows and game shows, really. Cash Strapped, another Bradley Walsh show. I've also worked on the Jonathan Ross show, which I worked on for quite some time when I was a runner. I was Jonathan's runner as well, so I got to see lots of glamorous celebrities, which was very privileged thing to do. Best thing about working in TV, it's really like you get to meet loads of different people, especially in casting roles. You meet tons and tons of different people from all different walks of life. I always find I especially love studio because it's loads of fun. It's nothing like watching all your hard work come together and being made on TV, and then you always have a look out when it does actually air as well. How I got into the industry, so I had my aunt works for a luxury car company, and they have lots of TV shows basically they work with. So she just got me in contact with a production manager. I met up with the production manager, went through my CV, all that kind of stuff, gave me some advice on like sort of different places to apply to become a runner and stuff like that. And then I did a couple of days work experience with on the show that PM was working on, and then I sort of just she offered me some runner roles, some studio day runner roles, so which was obviously quite lucky, and then sort of just went on from there, really. It's just really a lot of grafting, really getting in, making the right contacts. I can't think of any specific mistake I've made. We all make mistakes, obviously, but a lot, whether it be you've sent an email to the wrong person, obviously, which is very tough, because obviously GDPR, making sure that people's data isn't shared and stuff like that, very important. I've accidentally ordered a taxi to the wrong place, or got someone's coffee order wrong, or their lunch order wrong when I was a runner. So you just sort of, the main thing I say is, if you make a mistake, is communicate it. Most important thing is communication, because then you can find a resolution to the problem. When I first started out, I didn't really know about all that, the Facebook groups and stuff like that. It was a couple different runners that actually sort of that really introduced me to them. A lot of it is learning on the job, which is really important. Just really take it all in, not to get too flustered, and just take it all in and understand what's happening, why certain things are happening in certain ways, and literally everyone's role is as important as the other. So the runner's role is important, because they're the people that make sure everyone's fed and watered, as well as the executive producer, who was the person who makes the decisions on budgets and stuff like that. I would really have benefited from something like the Creative Train when starting out, because like I say, they can really put you in the right direction in finding work, giving you training, understanding different roles, because I never really knew what a runner was, what a researcher was, what a production manager was, what kind of jobs they do, what they do, in the office day to day. So I think the creative train would be, really give you that information, and sort of like, it's not easy to really learn because you can do a quick Google, but even then sometimes it's sort of a little confusing as to what each job entails, really. So I think that's something that's really, and also just really helpful. Create train having contacts in the industry. It's so important to have contacts in the industry because there will be periods where you might not be in work. There are quiet periods in the industry, so you really have to get to know people to trust you into doing certain jobs. And it is very much something that I wish I had when I started out, because those contacts, the information, it'd be really handy. And like I said, TV industry is a very tough competitive industry. There are so many people that try to make it in the industry and just can't, because obviously it isn't, especially if they go down the editorial route, which is like the researcher route, which I am. It's not sometimes sustainable because you're always in and out of work. You're always wondering about your next job and all that kind of stuff. So something like the Creative Train, hopefully, has like lots of employers, with jobs, all ready to go.